Hello, hello, everyone. It's good to have everybody join us. Good evening. It's been a minute. It's good to have you all join us on Conversations today. I'm Mariana Kun. I have not been here in a long time. I feel like I've lost touch. But today we're going to be talking about Nigeria. Nigeria is where I stay. I'm a broadcast journalist reporting from Lagos, Nigeria. And I'm going to be talking about what's in the news. Apparently, Nigeria has been having its fair share of insecurity, and it's a potpourri of issues: banditry, herdsmen versus farmers clashes, secessionists in the southeast, and of course Boko Haram in the northeast. It's a lot of things to talk about, but I'm just going to give us a brief update for those who are watching us from everywhere. So we're live on Twitter, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook, so you can be part of the conversation and post your comments and ask questions if need be. So once again, welcome to the show. Well, HAPS TV is the network of now. It is one of the major platforms, in fact, the best platform right now as we speak, that's allowing you to multi-stream. As we speak, I am multi-streaming on 5 different platforms, so you can watch me on all those platforms. I mean, what better place would you want to be when you're talking about issues like this or sharing the stories that are in the news? So, first and foremost, I'd like to let you know that since January this year, we have been having issues. There's been pockets of violence where reports have been coming in from the north central, the southwest, where certain people who claim to be herders have been seen to be armed and have been having clashes with farmers on their farmlands. And the farmers have been complaining that these herders have brought their cattle to destroy their farm produces, and this has caused trouble, obviously. And while they have these altercations, these farmers end up dead. Now, normally, when you see a herder in Nigeria, they carry sticks, and these sticks are so that they can help their cattle, show them the way, and make sure that they do not stray into farmlands or into onto highways. Because in Nigeria now, you see herders and their cattle, even on major highways, and they're all, moving from one part of the country to another part of the country in search of greener pastures. Now, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who's from Congo, and he was giving me some background into why there's been this movement of herders from place to place in search of food for their cattle. He has said that there's been a lot happening in the Sahara desert, where most of these cattle rearers, come from. The northern part of Nigeria is somewhat like a desert, but then it does have some forest. But they're saying, he told me that there's been a lot of testings and, foreign bodies using those lands, for all kinds of testing, whether it be nuclear and otherwise, and that's destroyed the land. And this has also made these cattle rearers decide to migrate to places where they could find food for their cattle. Now, that's a discussion for another day, because I'm going to have to ask my friend to give me more background information. But he was saying that we need to probe these people and ask them why they're moving. And that's because their land has been desecrated and has been unable to yield green grasses for their cattle. But let's fast forward to what's happening right now in Nigeria. So these herders normally move around looking for green grasses and, for their cattle. But as we speak, these cattle have now been going into proper farmlands where these people are planting food that would feed the country, because the food basket of this country is in so many parts of the north, in the middle belt, in the southwest, even in the south. There are lots of farms and farmlands, and most of our food comes from the middle belt and the northern parts of Nigeria. And so that we have had these issues go on for so long. Now, even in 2018, there were killings, there were agitations, but at the time they were called faceless people. They were not given a name. And now they're called, at some point they were called bandits. In fact, they were called Fulani herdsmen. But the Fulani people are an extraction in the northern part of the country, where we also have the Kanuris, we have the Hausas, but the Fulanis are known to be nomadic in nature, and they're known for a craft, which is, or a trade, which is headsmen. And so people started saying that, well, you cannot say that these Fulanese are killers and that they are going around, killing Nigerians or innocent people or innocent farmers. But the truth is, as we speak, farmers have been killed on their farmlands. There are lots of people who have been interviewed who have said on camera that they cannot go to their farmlands because these people have come to kill them, to destroy their farmlands. And so this has caused some form of poverty, food shortage, and of course, people are living in fear. For a long time, Nigerians have called on the president to speak up and deal with this issue, but the presidency has not really spoken on the issue. In early this year, a governor in the southwest had put out a ban saying that no more grazing in government reserves, no more herders should be seen grazing on government reserves. And then the federal government responded saying that the government had taken a bad step, that the move was in the wrong direction. And of course, there was an uproar because people were saying, when our people are being killed, the government doesn't speak on this issue. But obviously, when something is done or a step is taken against these Fulani herders, the government speaks. Now, why are people reacting this way? People are reacting, obviously, because the president seems to be from that extract. And people were hoping that the president would be able to speak to the issue and decisively deal with people who were perpetrating violence. But unfortunately, that has not been the case. Now, recently, the governors of the governors of the southern parts of Nigeria had come together again, this time to say that they're putting out a blanket ban on open grazing. In the midst of all of the agitations where Nigerians were asking the president to deal with the issue before it metamorphosed into a big deal, they asked that these herders be told to open their own private reserves, grazing reserves, and some people were asking that states give land to these herders to open their own ranches. But the states were saying that they cannot do it. They were saying that this is a private business, and if these people want land, they should go through the normal processes of buying and paying for land, and that the land will be given. But if the government is outrightly asking for states to give free land to these herders, that it was not going to be done. Well, as of today, we have had several kidnappings in Kaduna State, where 2 different universities were raided and students were taken, kidnapped by this so-called bandits. At least 5 of these students had been killed so far, and for a few of them, I think 3 students, their parents were able to pay and get them out. And so these students were able to regain their freedom. But that's not the story for many other people. And the issue is that people have spoken about paying ransoms for people who have been kidnapped by herders or even Boko Haram, because people have said that these monies would be used to fund some form of terrorism. And that means that if more and more monies are paid as ransom, then it would make it look like a lucrative business of sorts, and Boko Haram or these terrorists who call themselves bandits will continue to thrive. And so they keep expecting that the president will put his foot down and deal with the issue. Now, the army was under some form of fire because people started complaining that the army isn't dealing with the issue of banditry, and that when there are other kinds of uprising in the south or in the southeast, you see the government and the army come out with its full weight. I would like to remind those of you who have been following the stories from Nigeria that in 2020, October of 2020, there was a protest against bad policing about a particular rogue police department in Nigeria that was called SARS, not SARS the disease. Remember what happened? There were people reportedly shot at and killed because of, protesting, because these people came out to ask that the government deal with this rogue police group. But unfortunately, some people had to pay with their lives. Now, the president also came under fire for that. People have said that the president is quick to deal with issues in other regions of the country, but when it comes to that region, the president hardly deals with it. But I'd also like to, before we go further into this conversation, I'd like to let you know that in the Sahel region, the Sahel region of Africa has been experiencing some form of terrorism, and it's been moving. You can point to countries like Burkina Faso, Senegal, Chad, Niger. There's just been that issue of either headers or farmers crisis, but there's just been, a terrorism, move around the Sahel region, and they're all experiencing it. The governments of those countries having to deal with it in their own way. But back home in Nigeria, the governors of the southern region of the country have come together to say Mr. President needs to do something, and Mr. President needs to address the nation and address the issue of terrorism, because now it's no longer Boko Haram that we're facing. We're now facing a hydra-headed monster, which is banditry, kidnapping. We're also having a group of people who seem to be secessionists in the southeast who are asking for that if the president does not give them some form of, in fact, the people in the Southeast at some point were asking for presidency. They were asking that they be treated like every other part of the country. And so there is a group called IPOB that was prescribed under this administration, but they were not armed. They were just, agitators asking for their for secession of sorts, and they were called the Indigenous People of Biafra. But that group was prescribed by the president. And now, as we speak, in the southeast, those people were once again fingered for something that happened recently. Police stations have been targeted. Police officers have been targeted. That's the picture you see on your screen now is a police station in the southeast that was burned down and attacked in the dead of the night by unknown gunmen. Apparently, these people have been fingered. They're called IPOB. They've been fingered to have been the ones who were responsible, but that has not been ascertained. Again, a group of people have been killed, which the police have pointed to as members of this same group called IPOB. So that's the update on that. In the South, of course, certain groups of militants who had been under all of a sudden have been out again speaking about wanting to bomb government installations and deal a blow on the economy if the government doesn't heed to their demands. So it's a potpourri of issues, and I always say that if you put you were to put a pen and spin it on the Nigerian map, everywhere it faced you would see some form of agitation or violence. But the unifying voice of Nigerians is most of Nigerians are asking why the president is quiet on this issue. Is the president really quiet on this issue is another question, because the truth is the presidential aides have been speaking on this issue. There have been press releases on the matter. The president has said through his aides that he will deal with the issue, that the army and the Joint Task Force will be able to deal with this menace and we will put an end to it. But Nigerians are saying that if the president comes out to speak to them, to address them, because many people have died, many people have lost families, many people have lost their farms, their means of livelihood, and people are angry that the government has not necessarily addressed this issue as they should. And so the president seems to be on the chopping board right now. Every single one is taking a jab at the president because they feel that he has not done enough. Now, there have been people who also have come out to say that the economy has become really, really bad. In fact, the naira is against the dollar today is, I think, about almost 500 naira. For those who are interested in stocks and the foreign exchange, the naira has really fallen as against the dollar. The economy is not in its best shape. A preacher had come out today to say that a lot of people are going through depression. There's a lot of people have brain drain. People are not happy. Poverty is looming because the presidency is unable to deal with the situation of things in the country, and the country is heading in a direction that it shouldn't be. And every single person has all said, why is the president not speaking to us? Well, today we in Nigeria celebrated Eid Fitri for the Muslims. It's a Muslim celebration, and the president was addressing pressmen for the first time in a long time in his in government house, and this is what he had to say. Let's take a listen, and then when we come back, please feel free to be part of the conversation. Share your comments if you have questions for me. Hop on the live feed. You can just let me know in the comment section, and I can let you come on the live feed, and you can ask me as many questions as you have. But here's Mr. President.
We want people to go back to the land so that we can get enough food for the country and even export. And we are hoping Nigerians will understand the problem. Nigerians know at which stage we came, 2015, what stage we are now, both on security, both on economy. And we are going by the Constitution, we are doing our best, but with the resources available and the manpower available to us, we are working very hard. And I think the National Assembly is cooperating very well. Within the resources available to us, they are certainly giving us priority in our requirements, and we are doing our best. The important thing is the elites must make the attempt to understand the military. If we order, say, weapons and armored vehicles, it takes time for the manufacturers. It takes time when it is brought here eventually, shipped here, taken to our training institutions, training the trainers, and then sending them to. This is a very, very long process. And even if you can have contact with the retired military chaps, they will tell you the difference between the time we came and now, how much hardware we have got, how much training we have done. If you don't know, go and ask people from Borno, from Adamawa, the difference in terms of security. And without security, you can't do anything. And in the South, our biggest surprise and disappointment is what is happening in the Northwest. And we are dealing with it.
Sorry, well, that's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, giving a speech or addressing government house pressmen, and he was talking about the issue of banditry, that he was going to deal decisively with the bandit. And many Nigerians, listened to that message that he had, all wrapped up in the Eid celebrations, and some found it very unsatisfactory. But let me just take you through some things. There have been so many public office holders, past, present, who have spoken about, the recent insecurity in Nigeria. And these insecurities have been fueled also by ethnic tensions, because many people have now made it an us versus them, because of course everybody's saying that this is the Fulanese are responsible for most of the banditry that we're experiencing in the country. And so it's become an ethnic war of sorts, and the tensions are, cropping up everywhere. You see leaders from different places making very serious and sensitive statements. But I want to appreciate governors, because the governors of the states have tried their best to not allow this issue to become a big deal or to become an ethnic war of sorts. But then the story in the Southeast is totally different, because the Southeasterners feel very, very angry, because as we speak, there's a shoot at sight order that Mr. President has given in the Southeast for those who they presume are members of that proscribed organization called IPOB. And the people in the southeast and southeast, and the leaders of the groups that represent the Igbo-speaking community in the southeast of Nigeria have kicked against what Mr. President's move has been. They're saying that the president is, using double standards in dealing with situations of insecurity in the country, and that why is it so easy for the full weight of the law to come on the people in the southeast, but what's happening in the northeast and the north central and the northwest is not having the same kind of reaction. I'll tell you why. There is a man called Sheikh Gumi who has been the only person who's been speaking, able to get through to the bandits. I have interviewed him many times. Many people have had him on TV shows. There are people who have the opinion that he should be arrested because he knows too much, and he should be telling us why he's encouraging people to pay ransoms. Or at first, Sheikh Gumi was advocating for some form of immunity, or he was asking that they be forgiven and one way or the other brought back into society and rehabilitated. But people are saying these people are killers. They have been killing us. I'll let you know. I like to let people who are watching know that there were people who were members of Boko Haram, the terrorist sect, the guys who've been causing all the insurgency in the northeast, that were said to be repentant, and they went through some form of rehabilitation process. Now, there were reports that emerged this year that some of these people that seem to have been repentant and rehabilitated have gone back to Boko Haram and served as informants. And so they are taking information to these terrorists. And so Nigerians are kicking against the fact that we should rehabilitate or forgive or give immunity of sorts to these bandits when they're kidnapping and killing people. They've kidnapped children from schools in the dead of the night. They've taken university students. They kidnapped people on federal highways. They've even shot and killed people on their farmlands. Why do they deserve to be given an immunity? But that Sheikh Gumi making these moves to ask that the presidency or the government of Nigeria looks with pity on these people should be, thrown in jail. But Sheikh Gumi has been speaking. He's in fact recently, for the latest university students who were kidnapped in Kaduna State, had asked that the federal government, through the Central Bank of Nigeria, paid the 500, if not 300 million naira for the university students to be released. If not, they will all be killed. And people did not find that funny. Again, people have also come down on the army, saying that if one man who's a sheikh was able to get through to the bandits, how come the soldiers have not been able to go into the same place where the sheikh was able to get to deal decisively and bring down this bandits and this group of abductors and kidnappers? So Nigerians are very angry. There's so much agitation in the land as we speak. Every single day, the headlines are very negative. Unfortunately, there are positive stories coming out from Nigeria, but unfortunately, the negative stories seem to be dominating our headlines. And this has also led to some form of migration. A lot of people have begun to lose hope in the fact that this government may ever be able to deal with insecurity. I'll tell you what. For those who do not know, the Buhari government came on the wings of wanting to fight insecurity, to put an end to Boko Haram in a few months. They promised that they were going to deal decisively with corruption, and they promised employment. But as we speak, unemployment in Nigeria is at its highest. Corruption is sitting pretty in Nigeria. And unfortunately, we're still having to deal with insecurity, terrorism, and now we have banditry and kidnapping on the rise. So unfortunately, the president has his plate full, and Nigerians are saying that the president has not fulfilled any of the promise that he made to us when he came into power. But if you have your thoughts, if you have comments, you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section. If you want to get into the conversation, we have just a few more minutes. We have about 3 more minutes to wrap this up. If you have questions for me, please feel free. I will answer the questions. Hi, Peter. I can see you, Peter. Thank you very much. Heavenly Dew. Thank you, Veteran Shroud. Did I get your name right? Thank you, Mark Goldman. I have missed everybody. I see you, Pablo. So if you have questions, you have comments, you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, and you want to ask, or you want to comment, you live in Nigeria and you are experiencing what we're experiencing. Does Nigeria feel safe for you where you are? Do you feel like the president, the government of Nigeria, has done what you think he should do? Because the president has said in that video I played today that he's doing his best. But then there's another thing that Nigerians are really angry about: the fact that the president is always surprised and shocked at the stories that he sees on our headlines. He's always saying that he's shocked, he's surprised, and that he's a bit removed. They reports that he is a bit removed from the things that are happening in Nigeria, and people want to hear from the president. People want to see that the president feels what Nigerians are feeling, but unfortunately, they do not see that response or that feel coming from Mr. President. Instead, we get to hear more and more bad stories coming, from different parts of the country, which is sending some form of fear in the hearts of people. Even a state like my state, Cross River State, where used to be the most peaceful, the most cleanest and greenest place in Nigeria, where you had never heard of kidnapping, cultism, or anything. Now you have robberies back to back. You have kidnappings. People are being beheaded and their bodies dumped in the glare of the day. I mean, it's a lot of things that state governors cannot also just be removed from this conversation. Governors of states have a duty to protect the people in their states. But unfortunately, I'll tell you how the security system and the security network in Nigeria works. The security is at the center. So all the police commissioners, the police chiefs in the different states report to a particular Inspector General of Police who sits in Abuja, which is the Federal Capital Territory. So as much as the governor of a state is the chief executive and the chief security officer of that state, those police officers do not report to him, but they report to the Inspector General of Police. So they wait for their orders from the Inspector General of Police, who also reports to Mr. President. And it's the same thing for the soldiers, the naval police, and for the Air Force. So it's a problem for the governors. The governors, of course, work with these police chiefs in the different states, but unfortunately, those police chiefs do not take orders from the governors. And so it makes it very difficult for people to really just point fingers at the governors of states to say that they are complicit or they're not doing their job as well. So I'm glad that I was able to do this to give you an update on what's happening in Nigeria. Maybe subsequently we will bring guests and security operatives to talk about the issue. Unfortunately, a lot of people in Nigeria have been talked out. They're tired. They're hoping that when they wake up to better stories, better headlines, and safety. Most Nigerians feel that there is no hope. And some Nigerians hold out hope and hope that the president will, wake up tomorrow and deal decisively. Because another reason why the president was elected to run for this office, in fact, Nigerians really voted for him massively, was because he was a retired general, and they were hoping that he would be the best person to deal with the issue of insecurity. Of course, we know that terrorism and the war against it does not, start and end in a day. But of course, body language and decisive actions can also help in dealing with it. But unfortunately, that is not the case in Nigeria. And it's sad to say that we are really hoping upon hope that some miracle will happen. But I thank you all for being part of this broadcast. I'm so glad to be back. I'm Mary Anna Kona, broadcast journalist, broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. I will see you sometime soon. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.